Okay, so I guess just three of us joining this panel today. All right, so before we start, one more. Hello, welcome. Okay, so before we start, I just want to ask you guys for some questions. Very simple. How are you guys today? Good? How about you guys? How are you guys today? Good? Great. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty great today. I'm very exciting for be a moderator of this panel discussion. Thank you so much for the speakers for spending time, and thank you so much for your attendance, presentations here in the Ho Chi Minh room for listening to us and joining us. Um, to be honest, when I received this topic, future of Web3 infrastructure, I was like, oh, wow. I'm pretty nervous because I'm not a tech girl. I don't know how to code. I don't know too much about the technical side, but I'm very honored to sit here to learn. Okay, so I really hope that maybe the audience who are listening to this panel, if you don't have a dev background or coding language, something like that, you still can sit here and to learn and to listen, and hopefully that you guys can note down something and have some key takeaway something after this panel discussion. Okay, so I will pass the micro to the speakers here to introduce about yourself for a little bit. I think starting with Hyperland.
Hey everybody, hope everyone's a good conference. My name is Nam. I'm one of the founders of Hyperlane, which is an interoperability protocol that basically allows a smart contract from one chain to make a call to a different smart contract on a different chain. And yeah, excited to talk about prospects of, I guess, Web3 infrastructure and what's lacking to get it to next level.
Hi. Hello. Yeah, cool. Guys. My name is Min Don, and I've been in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, over 12 years. Before that, I was in grad school doing PhD in CS. Moved up in the Bay Area, working for different startups. Then I spent 5 years at Google's AI Tech Lead. I left Google and joined co-founding a layer one blockchain called Harmony One. 2 years ago, I left to join working with Andy Rubin, who is famously the father of Android OS. And then COVID happened. Moved back here to Vietnam, where it was free of COVID. I started a lab called Colide Lab, and at Colide we've been working on a project called Massbit. Massbit mainly working on building Web3 infrastructures. And recently we also started looking to doing research on layer 2 for Ethereum.
Thanks. Hi, guys. Hope you all are doing well today. I'm Peng Yu, the founder of the Particle Network. Basically, we are knowing the barriers for the newcomers when they try to explore the Web3 products. And we think that one of the biggest barriers for the newcomers now is the mnemonic phrases. So we are providing the developers with authentication and wallet middleware to let their end users enter into their services with any method they are familiar with, like Google, Facebook, mobile number or email or any other social logins. So basically, we are doing something like eliminating the seed phrases or the mnemonic phrases in a decentralized way, because we are utilizing the MPC technologies, which is the multi-party computing, to ensure that the end users, even though they enter into the services by, let's say, the Google, Facebook account, but still they have the full autonomy about their on-chain digital assets. And this is what we are working on. And thanks for this opportunity to share with you guys what we have been working on. Okay, thanks.
Hey, hi guys. My name is Prakash Pathak. I'm from Spheron, and Spheron is trying to create is an abstraction layer for layer one services and L2 chains, and it helps Web 2 and Web 3 services to actually use blockchains infrastructure. So it's quite easy to use, and we are a no code platform. And for us, the goal is for more developer adoption and also user adoption to the same. So we have been day in and day out very much focused on getting users from all over the world to build on top of it. And also it is removing a layer where there are multiple CLIs and multiple environments involved just to put your simple set of code on blockchain. So we are trying to simplify blockchain. We are trying to bridge between Web 2 and Web 3, and we are trying to do it aggressively because we really want multiple use cases to be built on blockchain and also multiple business cases on this. So and so glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. May I quick introduce again Mr. Prakash from Saffron, Mr. Peng Yu Wang from Particle Network, Minh Duan from Masfit, and Mr. Nam Hoai from Hyperland. And my name is Jenny. I'm the COO of Kairos Ventures and Koi68. It's a VC firm and media outlet in Vietnam. And the girl who are wearing traditional hat, non la in Vietnam, it's me. And thank you so much. Pleasure to be here. Okay, so quick question. If you guys read the word Web3 infrastructure, it has two words, right? The first is Web3 and the second is infrastructure. So if Ho Chi Minh City is Web3, what do you think which district or which thing will be the infrastructure? Just a quick question for you guys to think. In my opinion, I think if the Web3 is the Ho Chi Minh City, then the infrastructure will be the underlying power grid. It will be everywhere. Everyone will need the power. Everyone will need the electricity. But nobody really, understand about what's going on behind, what's the background. The same as when you guys come to Vietnam, do you guys went to the supermarket or the convenience store? You guys pay by card or you guys pay by crypto? Who pay by card? Please raise your hand. Just card, credit card, debit card, Visa. Who pay by crypto in Vietnam? Oh, it's illegal here. Sorry. It's illegal to pay by crypto for goods, for stuff in Vietnam. Okay, so I mean, like when I swipe my card to pay for the stuff, I just care about my money in my bank. It's deducted. I don't know what is the background, what is the providers or the bank it's going on in the behind that. I don't really know. I think it's also the same with Web3 infrastructure. And that's why we here as me as the moderator to learn from the very special guests and the speakers here. So I think I have a first question for Mr. Nam Hoai, founder of Hyperland. So approaching a new concept like Web3 has been a very, they have a barrier to entry for that. For example, when I introduced MetaMask wallet to my mom, she has no idea how to use it. For me, it's really simple to store a seed phrase or to set up a MetaMask wallet, but not for my mom or not for, majority of the adults. So the surface is too hard, not to mention about the underlying stack of it. So as a Web3 infrastructure provider like Hyperland, what do you think and can you summarize the most important area of the Web3 infrastructure and what is its advantages that we have to use Web3, not Web2 like right now?
All right, it's a big one. I guess the recent events would probably lead you to think like, okay, like what's the point of all this? And I think really the biggest thing that we seem to forget every single time this happens, right, is that like obviously with any, I guess, new technology, you have a lot of speculation and that what drives a lot of activity. But really what's like really cool about, I think, Web3 versus Web2, right, is this ability to not have to trust anybody. Like I think that's really like the key piece of this technology that isn't available in any other technology. Yet we all seem to be like storing, I guess, our assets with custodians that we probably shouldn't have trusted. And so I think to you, like being able to make something like custody much more approachable is, I think, really cool, and we need a lot more of that. And so I think to your point about like what, like there's a lot of surface area, as you said, to learning all this. And I think I guess I'm a developer computer scientist, right? Like we always think of in terms of abstractions, and so being able to find good levels of abstraction so that like different pieces can work together to ultimately provide an experience that's closer to Web 2 in terms of its user experience is pretty important. We at Hyperlane, I think, maybe are a little bit more special in the case that like what we are providing is, I guess, an abstraction layer for what I think we believe most people don't actually care which blockchain they're on. And so allowing developers to kind of build these applications where it doesn't, like they can deploy on every single chain and the kind of state on all different chains can communicate with each other is ultimately infrastructure for developers to build what we believe to be better user experiences. And I think the thing that I think our industry needs to be better about is be, I think, more pragmatic with like being able to serve users today with the technology that's available without always kind of thinking too far ahead in terms of, I had the conversation earlier today at the booth about DK rollups, right? And like really cool infrastructure. I feel like I've heard it being like around the corner and like deployed, every year now. And so I think being honest with ourselves about, hey, what can we actually deploy in terms of infrastructure today to make users safer is something that we have to, I think, be better.
Right. Thank you so much for the answer. For the rest of the speakers, you want to add in for this question? Okay, if not, okay, thank you so much for Mr. Nam for the great answer. I have another question for you, Mr. Peng Yu Wang from Particle Network. So to my understanding about the Web3 infrastructure, I would think like the target audience or your customer would be the builders, the project builders, more than a retail traders like me. So if that's so to what extent, what do you think can an infrastructure such as an infrastructure provider like Particle Network can help the project to speed up their onboarding process? Can I have a micro? Thank you.
So basically, what we are trying to do is to provide the middlewares so that they can integrate our services in a standardized way. And so basically, for your question is that you have to make the integration process simple. So, and also you have to fulfill their different needs, especially nowadays more and more Web3 products, they are building the cross-platform features. So basically, you need to provide the native iOS, Android, Unity, or even Unreal SDKs. So that you can fulfill their needs in, let's say, the gamified projects. So I think this is the second part is that you have to provide the cross-platform features. And third is that you have to understand the end users' scenarios, because what we are trying to do is to onboard the new user, right? So if you don't understand how the end users they are familiar with or they are willing to do the logins, you cannot provide better solutions to the developers. So yeah, this is the three major points. And also in nowadays, we think that there are also some other features the developers they are much more caring about, which is like the non-custodial degrees, the security levels, and also the end users' experiences and how you can support the mass adoptions of their products. And also, I think there's another important thing is that how you can build a sustainable the business relationship with the developers. You cannot say that I will be free forever and to absorb them to use your solutions, but you don't have sustainable revenues models, and someday then you tell them we are shut down and we cannot support you anyway. So this is also something you have to design at the very first time. Yeah.
Gotcha, makes sense. Thank you so much for the answer. So my next question would be for Mr. Munduan from Maspit, but since it's a pretty general question, so I'm, welcome for all of the answers from all of the rest speakers for these questions as well. So in the blockchain industry, if we mention about especially database, there will be a term that called single point of failure. Do you know that word? Single point of failure. It's kind of like a bottleneck, a severe bottleneck in the blockchain industry that if that bottleneck has some problem and it collapse, it will following by a collapse of the whole ecosystem. So that's what we call a single point of failure. If you guys remember the Infura problem in November 2020, where they have a problem and they stop providing the service of API to Ethereum mainnet, then I remember Binance had stopped withdraw the ERC tokens, Ethereum, and also it got affected on MetaMask as well for the Infra problem in 2020. So yeah, so my question, sorry, did I talk too much? So yeah, so my question for you is, from your view, if a project with a strong focus on blockchain infrastructure, what single point of failure does the Web3 platform currently have, and what can we do to improve that?
I think it's a really good question. Single point failures. It could be a good example of or a good analogy to explain one of the property in blockchains. So basically, like in the centralized system, like banking, like Bank America, if their system gets shut down and no one can make the payment in their system, right? But in blockchains, we have nodes running the same thing. Like not talking about consensus here, but like if one node got shut down, but we still have many other nodes running and serving. So that's applied in the blockchain in general. Not talking about consensus and other properties like keys stuff. And it could be applied to infrastructure as well. So like Vitalik says, like fully decentralized app is so valuable because it gives the users the confidence that like the apps will always be there. Regarding to Maspik, so let me expand a bit of our project Maspik here. So basically here, if you heard about Infura or like Alchemy, so they are actually the service providers for API, the blockchain API. So basically, like if you are end user or if you are a Web3 apps or the apps developers, you don't have to run your own node to access to blockchain, but you can, open an account in Alchemy or Infura, and then you can get the URL, and then you get your app talking with the URL to access the blockchain. So basically, they are one single entity. They run a lot of nodes and serving on the Web3 apps. So like Jenny just mentioned, like I think not only one time, but like a few times, they got shut down, and it affect like a lot of Web3 apps. So looking in the future, so like we would expecting like a better, for example, like at Masbix, we're building decentralized APIs. So the analogy is like decentralized version of Infura and Alchemy. So we basically building a incentivized system to let people on the node or on entities, even Infura or even other companies, can run with us. It's based on the proof of stake. So basically, to run with us, you have to stake something, and we have a mechanism or system to verify you guys. Like if they act like maliciously, we can get a stake, we can penalize, we can slash them. So to make sure that they will act honestly. So together, like we can run a better API called decentralized APIs. Um, it could be, if you want to own your own node, and then for your own apps, and then in free time, you said like you can reserve that resources and enable it to our decentralized API. Or another case is like you run staking, and this is staking, but doing nothing else. You can reserve the result to our decentralized API. You make money by staking, and you also make extra money with us. So that's pretty much, not only about, yeah, much about Singapore FLS.
Yeah, for the rest of the speaker, may I invite Mr. Nam to add in?
Yeah, I think RPC nodes are, I guess, a pretty known, I guess, point of failure. But I wouldn't call them like the biggest single point. Like I think, like this week Infura announced the change in privacy policy where now when you use Infura node, they will like log your address and your IP, like your Ethereum address and your IP address, right? And I think it's actually pretty easy now to not use Infura. And so I personally don't believe that yes, maybe a lot of people use Infura, but like the ability for you to use an RPC node that's not Infura is pretty simple. And so I'm not too worried about that one. I think honestly the biggest thing in terms of single point of failures that people are underestimating is what I consider like I guess the like most likely path for a supply chain attack, where everyone uses like the same node modules for interacting with their applications, and like how many of us are actually auditing those dependencies and figuring out like all right like who has access to those. And so if I think of like what's the like biggest like lurking single point of failure, it's probably some random npm module just waiting to kind of like crush down the whole system. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the great insights. Yeah, so my last question is for Prakash from Spheron. Yesterday, I watched your YouTube channel about Spheron. Was really enjoyed it. So as I mentioned with you guys before, that the Web3 infrastructure is a not easy field. It's pretty difficult to understand. It had a high barrier to understand and the knowledge. So what can we do to onboard and add more users, retail traders, as well as project builders on Web3 infrastructure? I mean, here it's to really develop a full potential of Web3. What do you think? What we can do?
So I guess developer adoption, or anytime I speak that if we have to create a use case for it, the simplicity of the technology should create more cadence for. Like if I say node npm, he mentioned npm. We most of us are very much built upon that the adoption is so crazy for node modules. I don't know who taught me npm. I can't really find like if I can't recall how I did that. But the adoption was so simple and so easy to use that I still remember it and I still use it. So for technology, like for infrastructure to be there and to make it more accessible to people. Like for example, if there is a business owner and who wants to be on blockchain, right? Who wants to sell out services and he wants to put their services on blockchain. But there should be services already present in this space to make it very easy for them. Like if I say there are services like WordPress for in Web2 which are already there, right? And all you need to do is just click on it and you are live with your business, right? We need these services in blockchain itself because I know that there are multiple smart contracts requirements and everything that requires a whole lot of education on it. So this education is very important for adoption of blockchain into day-to-day use cases of people. As you said that your mom, how do you explain your mom to why use MetaMask? So once your mom was someday would be booking an Uber, right? Because booking an Uber had an actual use case versus MetaMask has use case, but only few people know about it. So the adoption is very important. It's linearly lies with educating people on blockchain. Like, why do you really need it? Why this kind of privacy is required to it? Because we have been doing this like in India. I think we have tried to tap around thousands of users. And when we speak to these people or when we speak to these business owners or people who want to get on, who want to build on dApps on it, they're not aware of these products which are already there in the market. They're already present. So that gap between education and this abstraction layer and whatever things we have built so far, we need to fill that gap in. We need to make it more viable for anyone to come on, just click on it and use it. And I know there are multiple people who are working in this space to make it more accessible to people. I think this is what we're here for. This is what I think this is what the cadence of these events are, to make sure that the onboarding process for anyone is there should not be a process. It should be very natural, and I feel Web 2 has done that, and we're trying to resolve this in Web 3 as well. And I guess kudos to that, and kudos to each team as well for doing such great event.
Great, thank you. Education for crypto adoption, it's really important. For this point, anyone to add in anything for how to bring and how to convert more the users to get them on board for Web3? Please, Mr. Peng Yu Wang.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to find the scenarios for the mass adoptions, because actually the biggest scenarios for the most newcomers are the fortune in the past, let's say 5 years in this area. It's about the coin prices. So basically, we need to find another scenario which is can be understood by coin price, these kind of things. They want to chase and they want to use, or they want to utilize in the services. So I think application layers project may play a very important layer in next wave of this area's development, like GameFi project and social fab projects and some other sub area applications. So yeah, this is basically what I'm trying to see.
I want to add one thing about the Web3 adoption. I think majority of users right now are still living in Web2 world. Like they are more familiar with like email, credit card, right? I think the easiest one to access crypto is NFT, but like even the end user, they have some curiosity about that, but they're not able to acquire the NFT easily, right? So how can we help them to just get NFT? They don't care about MetaMask, they don't care about Web3 wallets, but they want to get the NFT just for their curiosity, right? I think like could be like some app or something like just build something like Web2 version and get them to understand NFT, right? But like regarding the Web2 version, like it's centralized, right? And centralized regarding to some like API collapse recently, like so how we can handle that, like maybe like some regulation and then something else to help the end user have a better understanding about Web3. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for the answer. So I really hope that in the last 30 minutes of the panel discussion, you guys can know more about Web3 infrastructure, what is happening behind, what's in the background, and know more about the very special guests and projects here, like with Spheron or Particle Network, Matsbit, and also Hyperland. Thank you so much for the audience who are listening and watching, and thank you so much for the speakers. Do you want to say thank you in Vietnamese? It's cảm ơn. Cảm ơn. Yeah, cảm ơn. Okay, I say 1, 2, 3, and we can say thank you. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Cảm ơn. Thank you guys. Very enjoyable panel discussion.